In anyone else's hands, it would have been nothing more than an ordinary electric blanket. But in his hands, it became a murder weapon. After shooting his wealthy uncle dead, the man immediately switched on the electric blanket to heat the body, manipulating the estimated time of death. He then staged the scene to look like a burglary, leaving pry marks on the security door and removing several valuable paintings from the walls. However, he carefully wrapped only the two most expensive ones. He calmly glanced at his watch. It was exactly 8 o'clock. A young and attractive woman entered the room. Tracy was his secret lover. Kingston handed her the pistol and reminded her once again not to panic because he still had an important task to complete. Once everything was in place, Kingston quickly left the crime scene and headed to an art discussion gathering.
Dale! Dale Kingston, I don't believe it!
As a distinguished art critic, he naturally attracted plenty of attention from writers and artists eager to speak with him. Before long, it was after 9 o'clock. Kingston pretended that his watch had stopped working and repeatedly asked others for the time, ensuring that plenty of witnesses could later confirm his whereabouts. Meanwhile, Tracy was ready to play her part. When she spotted a patrol officer nearby, she packed away the electric blanket, fired a blank shot, grabbed the paintings, and sprinted toward the back exit. Although the officer reacted quickly, he was still too late. All he found was the dead millionaire. The murder appeared flawless. And indeed, it seemed that way. The medical examiner immediately concluded that the victim had died at precisely 9 o'clock.
Yeah, the body was still warm.
Kingston then arrived at the scene, pretending to be shocked and distraught. As the millionaire's only living relative, was he a suspect who had killed for the inheritance? The police didn't say it aloud, but the thought certainly crossed their minds. However, Kingston had a solid alibi, preventing them from arresting him on the spot. What he never realized was that his carefully planned murder was riddled with flaws. One of the paintings left behind looked abstract and unimpressive, yet it was worth a fortune. The thief had ignored it, while taking several cheaper works instead. That suggested the burglar knew nothing about art. Yet somehow, while escaping, the thief suddenly became an expert and selected the two most valuable paintings with perfect accuracy. Kingston was momentarily speechless. Fortunately, that alone proved nothing, and he managed to brush the issue aside. Columbo examined the security door and noticed clear scratch marks around the lock. If the killer had entered through that door, why hadn't the security alarm been triggered?
A professional thief could manage that pretty well, couldn't?
No. You see, professionals, they always pick windows. They're just easier to crack.
The patrol officer also reported hearing the sound of high heels while pursuing the suspect. That suggested the culprit was a woman. Most likely it had been a team effort. A single woman couldn't possibly carry that many paintings by herself. To avoid triggering the alarm system, someone inside would have needed to open the door for her. Kingston immediately felt uneasy. Suspicion was slowly closing in on him. The next morning, Columbo tracked down the artists who had attended the discussion gathering. Every one of them confirmed Kingston's whereabouts. They had seen him at 8:20 p.m., and he had never left the event. Columbo was surprised. Soon afterward, he visited Kingston and happened to arrive just as Kingston answered a phone call. It was Tracy. Despite agreeing that they should not contact each other, her nerves got the better of her. Kingston quickly ended the call before she could say much, but Columbo had already noticed that the caller was a woman. Kingston hurriedly explained that she was merely a client. This time, Columbo stopped pretending and openly challenged him. Most people don't pay much attention to time, he pointed out, but you're different. You know exactly where you were at every moment, and you even have witnesses to confirm it. And your car was completely empty. There wasn't a single painting inside.
Yes, isn't that nice?
Kingston smiled smugly, as if daring Columbo to produce evidence. Columbo reluctantly nodded. He didn't have any. After Columbo left, the murderous couple met again. Tracy returned both the gun and the two stolen paintings. She had believed she might win Kingston's love, but Kingston clearly had no real feelings for her.
When will I?
Under cover of darkness, Kingston brought the paintings back to his home. The moment he opened the door, he found the last person he wanted to see waiting inside, Columbo. Kingston immediately became tense and accused him of trespassing. To his surprise, Columbo immediately reached for Kingston's briefcase and attempted to inspect it. His hand was already inside. Fortunately, Kingston reacted quickly and prevented him from discovering the paintings. He then promptly threw the detective out and poured himself a stiff drink. Soon afterward came the reading of the millionaire's will. The result shocked everyone. The entire estate had been left to Edna. Kingston, despite being the millionaire's only relative, wasn't awarded a single penny. Columbo was stunned. That meant Kingston apparently had no motive, unless of course he hadn't known about the will. Kingston calmly produced documentation proving that he had known about the will 10 days before the murder. According to him, he had absolutely no reason to kill. He viciously mocked Columbo, telling him to focus on real police work instead of playing the fool.
Find the real killer.
Then came another surprise. During a search of Edna's backyard, police discovered the murder weapon. The once respectable Edna suddenly became the prime suspect. Before she could even defend herself, investigators found another crucial clue in her trash. Written on a scrap of paper was an address. It happened to be the exact location where Tracy's body had later been discovered. The evidence against Edna kept piling up. Police soon conducted a thorough search of her home and found the stolen paintings. In reality, it was all part of Kingston's elaborate setup. The day before, he had secretly followed Edna and slipped the paintings into her shopping bag when she wasn't paying attention. Faced with such overwhelming evidence, Edna found herself unable to defend her innocence. Kingston eagerly added fuel to the fire, turning her into the perfect scapegoat. But something didn't sit right with Columbo. No murderer could be foolish enough to scatter incriminating evidence everywhere. The entire situation felt staged. Then it hit him. Columbo ordered fingerprint analysis on the paintings and became convinced that Kingston was the real killer. The truth traced back to the will. Once Kingston learned he would inherit nothing, he devised a new plan. Under the law at the time, anyone who murdered in order to inherit an estate would lose all inheritance rights. Therefore, if Edna were convicted of murder, the entire estate would pass to Kingston instead.
I can't believe it.
All right, Lieutenant.
Still, Kingston continued to deny everything. There isn't any proof, he insisted.
Yeah, with fingerprints.
Once again, he smiled confidently. The paintings already have my fingerprints on them. I handled them when they were first purchased.
No, we're not looking for your prints.
What?
Do you remember the time that I was in your apartment and you came in with some paintings? And remember, I wanted to see them and you wouldn't let me? And I even touched them?
You touched...
Yes, my fingerprints are on those paintings.
But Columbo had anticipated that argument. During his earlier encounter with the paintings, he had intentionally left his own fingerprints on them. If Columbo's prints appeared alongside Kingston's, it would prove the paintings had recently been in Kingston's possession.
This is entrapment. It's a setup, that's all. You touched those paintings just now while I wasn't looking. You saw him do it, didn't you? You put your prints on those paintings while you were bent over watching them when they were working on it. He touched them.
At last, Columbo revealed the gloves he had been wearing. The room fell silent. Kingston had lost. Yet ironically, Columbo had never actually solved the murder itself.